Hi, everyone. Very pleased to be here. My name is Michael Franken. My job is to beat Chuck Grassley, and I wrote some comments for this day. And then what I'll end with is a little once-over on Ukraine to give us all up to date on where I think this is headed. Okay, so I'm running to unseat Chuck Grassley. This is infinitely doable. I'm from Sioux County. You all know where that is. 86% for Donald Trump. Not so much anymore. I'm the youngest of a one-room schoolhouse teacher and a blacksmith. My ancestors were all homesteaders, were farmers. My family is typical rural America. 6 girls, 3 boys, think small house, bootstrap type existence, big garden, piano in the living room, very, very affluent, but an ability to work your way to college, a great thing. My first work was in my dad's machine shop. I was reasonably adept at it, kept all 10 fingers, which is pretty amazing. In a non-OSHA approved machine shop. I was a bouncer, a bartender, every conceivable job in a slaughterhouse growing up, and even as an engineer for a law firm. Took a test, got a Navy scholarship in 1978, and away we went, leading America's men and women from across the United States around the globe. Quite a great life. I dropped my request to resign from the U.S. Navy when Donald Trump was elected. I was headed back to the Pentagon, and although I'd served under every president since Jimmy Carter, I was never going to respect a person like Donald Trump. So I was done. And frankly, if you couldn't see that coming, then perhaps you've got some judgment about the human condition, in my estimation. So I was done. I was a 3-star admiral. It was time to move on. 20-some moves across 4 continents, wife, 2 kids, adopted special needs daughter, Special Olympics basketball coach. I'll have you know we were silver medalists. Thank you very much. I have permanent creases of smiles as a result of those 2 years. It was wonderful. But it was time to quit. And I think some politicians should have long since learned such things when it's time to quit. My career was rather unique for a naval officer. Yes, I rose to be a ship captain, a commodore of many, many ships, even commanded land forces in a combat theater, over 6,000 or so. Later, for President Obama, I was an agency head, started a defense agency from scratch, was Obama's chief of legislative affairs, the appropriations, authorizations through a time of sequestration. A great opportunity. Also was the first military person to ever work for Ted Kennedy. I've got about 6, 7, 8 years or so of experience working on Capitol Hill. I go to work on day one. My jobs were all reputation building, and none of them were easy. But reputations, you know, they come and they build a character, and they also build leadership. And from the bowels of a rendering plant to voting no on the invasion of Iraq, when I had that opportunity to do that, to building women's programs across the continent of Africa that are still in business today and are changing the complexion of leadership in nations and in cabinets throughout many African countries. But frankly, experiences in life, they define future performance. And those experiences I provide and I believe are very germane as your next U.S. Senator. I'm a big problem for the GOP. All those things that they claim, that service, that rural, that bootstrap type business, that public education to MIT, they don't own any of those things. I'm a big problem. I got an email the other day from a Republican friend. I was in Davenport chatting away. My forte, just so you know, is answering questions. And so he sent me a note afterwards. He goes, holy cow, I wasn't expecting that. I knew you were going to be good. But he says, oh my God, are you a problem for the RNC? If I was in the RNC panel, I would throw as much money as I possibly can against you because you are a big problem for them. Good luck, you're going to win it. So that's I think so too. So I enter this race to lead this nation, my state, you, past this imposed divisiveness that we have in Washington today. By nature and nurture, I'm a logical, very empathetic person. That's a learned trait in many of us. A servant leader, and I go to work in the Senate in the day one. My allegiance is to Iowans, only you, I'm not here for corporate PACs or anything. This is individual donations, and you'll see at the end of March that we will set records in this nation on such matters, just so you know. It's been a good run. So, but you know, in the shadow of a TV personality that has nothing in common with anybody in the state of Iowa, I'm going against the person who it's long since time for him to retire. This is not a kit glove happy farewell. This is a forced retirement that I put Senator Grassley in. I'm sorry that this has to be done this way, but this must be done, and it shall be. If you want to know how I'm going to vote, think I am pro-democracy, first and foremost. I will preserve your right to vote, your voice in affairs of this nation. Secondly, I'm pro-education. I'm pro-civil rights, pro-human rights, and pro what women want to do with their bodies. I believe that everybody ought to have the type of health care that I had in the military. Any veterans in there? Just so you know, those lucky buggers who raise their hand, they're, from an actuarial perspective, they're going to live longer than you. Because at one time in their lives, they had perfect health care. What everybody in America ought to have. Preventive, dental, health care for life. That's my plan. I believe in affordable home ownership and living in a living wage. I believe in affordable child care, and families should expect a premium education wherever they live, regardless of where they live. And I believe in infrastructure initiatives that build the future fabric of America. I'm an engineer. I'm a physicist by training. Environment issues, I've been working for years. Matter of fact, in the early 2000s, I received the DOD award for the most efficient captain of a ship. Thank you very much. It's my rural mother upbringing, I must say. I demand responsible ownership of firearms. I'm the NRA's worst nightmare in that regard. I expect every faucet in the state of Iowa to dispense safe drinking water. And I know Iowa can be a leader in reducing our carbon footprint. We are in the catbird seat for creating a new electrical grid in the state of Iowa using renewable, regenerative energy sources, and to become ultimately the source for high energy and future businesses to change the wage scale in Iowa. We can talk about that, and I'm happy to talk about that in a smaller group. And first and foremost, I expect a quality of life and a positive business environment to bring our next generation back to us. I want Iowa's energy grid to be also key to small town viability. I too am from a small town. It was only 50 people when I was growing up, and today it's 12. As a Democrat, we need to be tough with our on-target messaging. And I got a couple of words here for you. And a steel jaw. But in communication with fellow Iowans, which I engender the independents and the Republicans to come talk, I make sure they know that Democrats passed things like women's suffrage, Social Security, workman's comp, labor relations, unemployment compensation, antitrust, soil conservation, rural electrification, GI Bill of Rights, FHA, FDIC, VISTA, OSHA, PBS, CDC, and Pell Grants. Okay, I'm done. No, I'm not done. American with Disabilities Act, NATO and the Marshall Plan. Soon we're going to have a, right, very well, Slava Urana, right? Rebuild Ukraine. That's next. The AmeriCorps and the Peace Corps. The Civil Rights Act, the National Science Foundation, the Clean Air and Clean Water Acts. All those things were Democrats. Don't forget. Make sure people know that. All right, so years ago, I was afforded this opportunity to climb a ladder of success. I want everybody to have that opportunity. And I'm here to make that happen. Thank you for your support. Franken for Iowa. Look forward to seeing you all in person in a smaller setting. Thank you much.